What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Kakis, and today, with the launch of Act 2 of episode Revenant within Destiny 2, we got a brand new activity, the Tomb of Elders / Contest of Elders. So in this video, we're going to be going over everything you need to know about this activity, as well as a bunch of tips, tricks, and loadout recommendations so you guys can beat this activity as fast and easily as possible and do well enough so that you can unlock the secret treasure room and get a ton of loot. And so, let's get started. And first off, what is the difference between the Tomb of Elders and the Contest of Elders? Well, the Tomb of Elders is the quicker, more casual version of this activity. You're going to go through and do enough encounters to get to that first initial chest room, and then you're done. It's just going to end. Whereas Contest of Elders will continue after that chest room, but it will increase the difficulty of the combatants until you get to the next chest room, and then it's going to increase the difficulty again. So in a full Contest of Elders run, from beginning to potentially unlocking that secret chest room, the end, you will get 4 different reward sections. 4 different times a bunch of chests are going to spawn and loot is going to spill out. So yes, it will take 4 times as long as a normal Tomb of Elders, but in a single activity you can get a ton of loot, and the loot quality will increase with every single drop as the difficulty increases as well. But guys, importantly, this activity follows a very defined layout. You're always going to start in this central airlock area, and from there, you will move towards your first proper encounter, your first prison cell. Now, the prison cells are different depending on what enemies you face. So this is the Hive prison cell, this is the Taken / Dread prison cell, this is the Scorn prison cell, and finally, this is going to be the Cabal prison cell. And what cell you get, what encounter you get, is completely random. So one run you might start with Hive and then get Cabal, Scorn, back to Hive. Another run you might start with Cabal, then get Scorn, Taken, back to Scorn. You might completely avoid Hive, so that is going to make every single run feel a bit different. But for these prison cell encounters, what exactly are you doing? Well, there's a main objective and then there's always a bonus objective. So the main objective is actually going to depend on what prison cell you're getting. So for example, for the Hive prison cell, you're only going to have 2 possible main objectives. You either are going to have to kill the different wizards and ring the bell to bring out a boss enemy that is going to let you stand in the goop and shoot the crystals, or you're going to have a bunch of Lightbearer Hive you have to take down. It's always going to be either of those 2 main objectives. And then the other prison cells with other enemy types are going to have their own unique main objectives, but you're only going to have 1 or 2 different objectives per prison cell, per enemy type. So once you see the prison cell, you kind of know what's coming as a main objective. Now, a quick tip, by the way, if you get the Taken prison cell, you always have to pick up these darkness objects, and if you have multiple teammates, you can pick them up at the same time and you all get one. So seriously, you just wait, 3, 2, 1, pick it up, and then you can get that done way faster than usual. Then we have the bonus objective, and this is key, guys. Honestly, a huge tip right off the bat is that you want to be prioritizing the bonus objective over the main objective. Now, why is that? Well, the bonus objective is what gets you favor. So you're going to start out in the airlock with Warden's Judgment in the kind of top middle of your screen. As you complete these bonus objectives, it will turn into Warden's Favor, and the more bonus objectives you complete, it will continue to grow up till Warden's Favor times 3. The more favor you have, the better the rewards will be. On top of that, you need Warden's Favor times 3. You need a ton of Warden's Favor in order to unlock that secret chest room at the very end of the encounter. If you have low Warden's Favor, you should just get a normal basic B chest room instead of the special treasure room. And so what this means is that you want to be popping your super and using your heavy for these bonus objectives. If you have The Rifleman bonus objective, where you have the sniper kind of mini boss spawn around the arena and you're trying to figure out which one is real. That's what you want to dump your heavy on. If you have to activate the objects below the poison cloud, pop your super and then head down there for extra damage resistance, right? You actually don't need to try that hard for the main objectives, because there's seemingly no time limit on the bonus objectives, and even if you die and die a bunch, you get 20 revive tokens to start and you gain more all the time. So as long as you don't go down to 0, you should be fine. Even when we took forever on the main objectives, the game didn't care. As long as we got that bonus objective done, we got Warden's favor seemingly no matter what else happened. So definitely use all of your, try hardness, all of your skill, all of your supers, all of your heavy to get that bonus objective done. And if you have to primary the boss to death, in the end, it doesn't actually matter. In fact, speaking of bosses, a lot of these encounters have boss fights. But another massive tip I have for you guys is that the bosses are not that hard. Seriously, compared to other activities out there, I mean, if you were getting up into the high waves of Onslaught, you would actually have to change your loadout to have weapons and stuff more suited to take down bosses. Not in Tomb of Elders, man. These bosses will die very quickly. I mean, heck, I'm using, of course, Consecration Titan, and a couple of consecrations will absolutely decimate these bosses, right? Or chunk them massively. So again, if you're making a build, want to have this build mainly focused on ad clearing and, survivability, being able to do those bonus objectives, and then just throw on a heavy grenade launcher, and that should pretty much cover you for whatever boss you're going to fight here. They are relatively squishy compared to a lot of other bosses in the game, so you don't have to tailor a huge amount of your loadout towards boss killing. And speaking of loadouts, another big tip is that make sure you prioritize having a really good heavy weapon and use it a ton, because you're going to be swimming in heavy ammo. Seriously, that was something we found every single time. We had so much heavy ammo. Now, why is that? Well, every time you begin one of these prison cell encounters, you will have an opportunity to rally a flag, giving you full heavy amongst everything else. And on top of that, during these encounters, you're also going to have heavy ammo chests spawn as well. Like, we were seriously so flooded in heavy, we would do the encounter, we would kill the boss, and then we would go to the heavy ammo crate that we didn't even need to use. We would just grab it before doing the traversal encounter, which we'll talk about in a sec. But then we'd get to the next encounter without using very much heavy in the traversal section, and there'd be another rally flag. We'd already have full heavy ammo at the rally flag, like almost every single time. So again, really go hard with that heavy ammo, because you're gonna have so much opportunities to actually refresh it and gain more heavy ammo. And guys, one last thing about these main prison cell encounters is that you will, on top of having a random encounter with a random enemy type, you will also have a random modifier. So as you can see here, every single time you will get one key modifier. Some of them, like Chill Touch, where if you get meleeed, you slow, aren't that bad. Others, like Grounded, can be pretty brutal, where you take significantly more damage if you are airborne. So just make sure to pay attention to those. Really, the main one is make sure to pay attention if you have Grounded, and don't be jumping around if you do, because otherwise you will get melted. Generally, these shouldn't actually impact, how you make your loadouts too much, honestly, and they're always negative modifiers. It's not like you randomly get a brawler, or at least it's never happened to us, so definitely keep that in mind as well. Now, after these random encounters, you will always have a traversal encounter, and this is going to be just making it to the next random prison cell, and during this traversal encounter, you will also have a bonus objective. This is super important because this is essentially a free Warden's favor. These are always very easy to do. It's either like just get there fast and then you just run past all the enemies. It's kill all the enemies and they're not hard to kill. Or it's find one big bad enemy, one yellow bar halfway through that you can kill. And again, they're always relatively easy, and they will give you a stack of Warden's favor just the same as completing a bonus objective in the main encounter gives you, right? So that's another great way to get some easy Warden's Favor. And then after the traversal section, you will have one more main encounter, prison cell encounter, and then after that, it's chest room. So the layout of this activity works as follows. You always start in the central airlock, then you go to the prison cell encounter, traversal section, prison cell encounter, loot. After loot, prison cell encounter, traversal section, prison cell encounter, loot. So you have every single time, prison cell, traversal, prison cell, loot, prison cell, traversal, prison cell, loot. You're going to keep doing that pattern over and over again until eventually the fourth reward, as long as you have high enough Warden's Favor, that will instead lead you back to the central airlock and lead you down into that secret treasure room. However, what happens if you are not doing these bonus objectives? What happens if you're not getting Warden's Favor? Well, we actually tried that out. So we ignored purposely the bonus objectives. What happens is that you get Warden's Punishment. And just like Warden's Favor that goes up to ×3, if you keep failing to do bonus objectives, Warden's Punishment can actually get up to ×3 as well, as you can see. So what does punishment actually do? Well, whereas with gaining Warden's Favor, it's going to keep making enemies harder after you keep getting loot and so on. With Warden's Punishment, it's actually going to make them easier. So something we noticed is that you would have the favored prisoners spawning and they would be like mini bosses. Well, if you had Warden's Punishment, they would be just like normal yellow bars, right? They wouldn't be mini bosses. So they were much easier to kill. The actual enemies will be weaker if you're getting Warden's Punishment and you're failing these bonus objectives. On top of that, guys, as you can see, when you actually do get to the chest room, you are going to get less loot. Instead of having 2 chests spawn with Warden's Favor ×3, we only had 1. So you will just literally get less loot. And then when you're getting loot, you may notice that the Warden will pass judgment on you, right? So if you have Warden's Favor, the judgment will, clear and you'll keep going. If you have Warden's Punishment, as you can see, you will actually be sent back to the central airlock. And then you'll actually need to fight the Warden himself. So the bonus objective is to kill the Warden, and you're gonna have the Warden shooting out those flames. You have to hide behind the targets, just like the Warden of Nothing strike, right? Like, so that's kind of a cool little, almost Easter egg, like a cool little mechanic that happens. And if you're in that central airlock getting punished and you actually complete the bonus objective, which is to defeat the Warden there, as you can see, it will flip back to Warden's Favor, right? And funny enough, guys, in case you're wondering, we continued on this game and we actually unlocked this secret chest room at the very end. So even with max punishment and getting like sent back to the airlock and fighting the Warden, we beat the Warden and flipped it back to Warden's Favor to eventually get to the final secret chest room. So that does mean that you can come back from lost favor. And that's why those traversal sections can be so important, because if you fail the bonus objective in the first prison cell encounter and you go down to Warden's Favor ×2, well, you can gain it back right away with the traversal section, right? You actually have a lot of opportunity to gain Warden's Favor back before you actually get judged and you get your loot, right? So that's definitely what you want to be doing. Go especially hard for, the second prison cell encounter so that you don't lose favor before you get your loot drops. So as for some build recommendations for the Titan, of course, the Consecration Prismatic Titan goes incredibly hard. Honestly, even just the Strand Titan with Banner of War, that healing would also go extremely hard. It is, again, builds revolved around ad clearing with just a little bit of damage output. Again, put on a heavy grenade launcher and you're good to go for the bosses at the end. Now, for the Warlock, guys, the Speaker's Sight Warlock is incredible here, and then just have good weapons to clear ads, but that is going to provide you a degree of healing. Having someone that can heal you or having healing baked into your build, again, the Banner of War for the Titan, or simply running leg armor mods that give you healing for picking up orbs of power, that's going to be important based on the modifiers you get. There's some modifiers where you don't heal at all, you just have increased health, right? So you definitely want some degree of survivability, some healing built into whatever build you're using. Another great Warlock build here, the Reinhardt Raiment, the brand new chest piece for the Warlock that improves your stasis turret. Like, that thing goes pretty hard. Throw it down where all the enemies are spawning, or throw it in kind of a main part of these prison cells. It's not that big of a prison cell, so that thing's going to be reaching enemies all around it. Is pretty sick. Now, as for the Hunter, you have a lot of good options. The Gifted Conviction Ascendancy Prismatic build is crazy. Like I said, the arenas are pretty small, so one Ascendancy can hit so many different adds coming out of spawns. Heck, even something like a Gear Falcons build would be incredible. Being able to go invisible in order to complete those bonus objectives is very, very valuable. And of course, like, the Liar's Handshake build goes hard here as well, guys. There's just a lot of good opportunity for those ad clearing builds to really shine. However, one more recommendation I would make in terms of builds is that make sure you're switching to roaming supers if you can. Roaming supers are crazy right now after the buff they received for regen, and again, since the bosses go down so quickly, it's not like you need to burst them down, super intensely. You could be using roaming supers to help with ad clear and especially help with those bonus objectives. It's going to be a lot easier to go and activate stuff or go and do random bonus objectives if you're in a Blade Fury, if you're in a roaming super, compared to if you're not, right? And again, use them very liberally, because you're going to be rallying a flag before every single encounter. You're going to start with a full super, and you're probably going to get it back as well. Guys, that's going to be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickCacus. That is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.